Hey guys, Brian Hilliard here, author of the best-selling book Networking Like a Pro and How to Overachieve Without Overcommitting. And I gotta tell you, a lot of people know that I speak and I do a lot of presentations throughout the country, and people are always asking me, well, Brian, how is it that you have been able to really make free speaking engagements and maybe non-paid speaking engagements and things like that, maybe where they just pick up your travel or things like that. How have you been able to get that to the point where, I don't talk about this a lot, but quite frankly, you've made over $100,000 over the years just from free and, non-paid speaking engagements. What is it that you've done? And it's funny because when we first started out, I'm talking about 2001, I would go out and I would speak, and I probably did exactly what a lot of coaches and consultants and service professionals, authors do. I just taught like there was no tomorrow. I would go out, I'd do the presentation, and I would just teach. And my thought process at the time was, well, if I just give them good stuff and just keep giving them good stuff that, they're going to buy. And what I found out, and maybe you have too, I don't know, but what I found out at that time was, you can actually give them too much stuff. You can actually overteach and give people stuff to the point where they feel like they don't need anything to buy anything from you. And that was probably the first couple of years, maybe give or take 18 months. I don't know, something like that. Then I remember, I was reading some books, I was looking at some stuff, I'm making adjustments, doing these things. And I remember the first time, I can still remember this, the first time when we sold a bunch of stuff. It was in Alpharetta, which is in Georgia, by the way, Alpharetta, Georgia. And it was for the Alpharetta Rotary Club. All right, it was a free speaking engagement. I was there for maybe I had a half hour. I don't know exactly how long I had, but it wasn't a ton of time. And it was a free speaking engagement, and I'd been making some adjustments, doing some things, and I sold $400 worth of stuff, right? And you would have thought I had gotten struck gold. And I don't want to be disrespectful. If you haven't done that yet, I'll still take it. If you want to give me $400 in back of the room sales, I'll take it, okay? But at that time, oh my gosh, I was like the richest man in Babylon. Go in, I'm trying to play it cool, right? But I'm high stepping into the car, I'm fired up, I got my loud music on. Out the window. I'm fired up, $400 of books and CDs and product. Unbelievable. And really what I did, the adjustment was a couple of things. Number one, I didn't overteach, right? That was a big thing. I didn't overteach. I still gave good stuff, obviously, right? That doesn't go away. Good content doesn't go away. But I made sure that it was concise. I made sure that it was, discreet in the sense of this is the box and here's where it fits. And then what I did was I also had an offer, right? I had an offer. And it was a confident offer, which at the time was different than what I was doing. So $400 worth of, books and stuff like that was sold. And I'm thinking to myself, first down, fired up, right? So that was my first breakthrough. And then I was reading some more stuff, doing some more things. And then I started getting more and more confident. Instead of just having books and CDs and products, then what I did was I offered webinars. And I offered different programs so that I could increase the price point. The next stage of it, as I was kind of going along this whole progression, I remember I was going down to Houston, Texas. And at the time, and if you've heard me talk about this, if you've heard me speak or something like that in the past, there was a time, and it was not a short time, where if I didn't sell, it cost me, let's say, $1,000 on some of these trips, right? And you would have to pay that money, travel and stuff, before you got, anything back. And I remember going down sometimes where I had $300 for travel in my checking account. And I'm just being real with you. I had $300, in my checking account for travel. And if I didn't sell X number of dollars at that point, let's call it $600 or $700, I wasn't going to have money to come back. So I really, I had the engagement set up. I had 2 or 3 set up during the course of the week. So it's not like I was just going down there cold turkey or anything, but it definitely was something where I kind of had to do it. And one of the things I learned there as I was kind of going down was that's when I was having more products. So for example, earlier, my first phase, if you will, was I don't remember if I had my book at that time. I think I did at the Alpharetta Rotary Club. I think I did, but you don't necessarily have to. But what I did definitely when I was going down to Houston in that second phase was I definitely did have more products, right? It was CDs. It was definitely my book going down to Houston. I remember that. CDs, books, and I had them set up in at the time, I want to say 2, maybe even 3 categories. It was like a $29, a $59, and like a $79 price point. And that worked like a charm, right? Now, obviously, I do it for more, but that definitely worked like a charm. And what you do for that, in case you just don't know, is, especially if you're a coach or a consultant, what you do for that is you add on in your higher level product, what you do is you add on different, you throw in like a 30-minute coaching session with you, right? Not as many people take advantage of that as you would think. Some do, but not as many as you would think. So it's really not, it's more of a perceived value, but you can put that in there. Heck, I've done that for a $99 package. I've seen people do it for more. It just depends on your philosophy. So you might have a $29, a $59, and a $79 package, 1, 2, and 3. And for me, I think of it as an entry level, obviously at the $29. In the middle, I have a $59. And that for me, like we have our program on how to overachieve without overcommitting. So I might have something in the entry level about networking and word of mouth. And in the middle, I might have something about something else. In this case, overachieve without overcommitting, because that's a big thing for a lot of people. And that gets them to that next level. And then at the high level, I might have my coaching certificate and a few other things. I call that the whole shebang, right? So I started doing that down in Houston, and man, I'm starting to win games. I mean, I'm selling stuff. People are buying stuff, and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe this is working. And I did the same thing, actually, when I went to Raleigh, North Carolina for the first time. That was really when I started doing more of the 3 packages. In Houston, I was doing it somewhat, but when I was traveling to Raleigh, I kind of got some confidence and had some product, and it was like bang, bang, bang. And now I'm starting to make, money. I'm making $500 to $1,000 a pop. My goal at that point was $1,000 in back of the room services, books and stuff like that. That was my goal. So that's some of the things I did then. And then, what I really started doing, quite frankly, was when I got to that next level, right? And obviously this is adding up and money's coming in and stuff like that, and that helps. And what I always tell people is, the books and the CDs and the products, that really should pay for your travel, and it's the coaching that should get you to that next level if you're a coach, or if you're an attorney, or if you're an author. I guess you still have the books, but whatever your service profession is, it's the products that pay for your travel or whatever it is that you're doing, and then it's whatever your service level is, that should take you to the next level in terms of actually making money. And I remember really that next level for me where I started actually, I remember the point. A guy came up to me who was helping me. He'd seen me speak on more than one occasion. His name was Greg, and he was helping me. He was really nice. And you know what he said? I'll never forget this. He says, Brian, I know that you're a coach, but I got to be honest with you. I don't really see that when you talk. You don't really mention it in your presentations, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that. And then this was also at the same time I had a conversation with my dad, who's really smart. And one of the things that he said was you have to really build yourself up to the audience a little bit, more so than I was a little comfortable with at the time, because I kind of felt like I was tooting my own horn. And he's like, yeah, I hear that. Right, I get that. But if you want people to really buy your stuff, this is my father. He's like, if you want people to really buy your stuff, you got to build yourself up a little bit so that they know that you're a credible, the terminology I use is a credible expert. So we took a look at a few things, looked at my bio, looked at my intro. According to Greg, I mentioned that I was a coach a little bit more often, all right? And now I had it, and I did a couple of other things too to get coaching more into my, deal. And now not only was I selling books and CDs and packages, I'm selling boot camps, I'm selling coaching. People are like, man, And one of my philosophical points, and this might be different, there's another school of thought to this. There's really two schools of thought when it comes from, monetizing a free speaking event or speaking in general. There's the school of thought that says I've got one product and that's X dollars and I'm going to do whatever I can to get that across. And that's fine. That's fine. And that's fine. That's not my school of thought. Okay. And that doesn't make it wrong. It's just not my school of thought. My school of thought when it comes to monetizing an event is kind of, I look at it as rungs of a ladder. I have an entry-level service, I've got a mid-level service, and I've got a high-level service. And I'm giving you as the audience an opportunity to plug into however or wherever you want, right? If you're on a budget and you only have X number of dollars, I'd love for you to work with me. If you have a little bit more and you want this area, I'd love for you to work with me. If you want to go a little bit higher end and work with me in this area, I'd love for you to work with me. Okay? Versus, you only have to have $1,000 or $3,000, and if you don't have that, then you're not serious about whatever. And I don't know, I didn't agree with that. So I have different levels of price points, okay, where people can kind of work with me. And for me, I have found that then what that allows me to do is kind of stair step some things, right, where people are able to get in at the entry level and then move forward. And we can talk about that more. But my point is that that's kind of the progression, starting from the beginning, which was over teaching and not selling anything, to selling a few things, to selling $400 worth of stuff to, I was down in Houston a little while back. We sold $4,000. Okay. And I'm just telling you that in books and CDs. And, that's not a short amount of money. And I think that when people realize, and there's people who's doing more than that. I've seen $15,000 stuff sold. So I'm not even saying that there's not more to go for me. But I know I'll take $4,000 to $5,000 per speaking engagement. I'm not saying I do that every time, but I'll take it. And, I know a lot of other people that will too. And one of the things that we're going to talk about, I've got a free seminar coming up. It's called How to Monetize a Free Speaking Engagement. And we're going to get into a lot of this kind of stuff. It's going to get into what I've done. We're going to get into a little bit of how you can do it. I think a lot of times, again, as coaches, consultants, authors, service professionals, we have this tendency of wanting to overteach. That's a big problem that I've seen a lot of people face. And we want to give good content. I've already talked with you about that before, but we're going to talk about, again, a little bit about my personal journey and how that's worked out and give you some ideas on how you can, monetize these speaking engagements without being salesy, without being over the top, without being this, guy or gal that nobody wants to see, but at the same time, get your money's worth from these events. If you want, by all means, check it out. www.practicebuilderblog.com/speaking. Okay. Practicebuilderblog.com/speaking. You can check it out. It's got all the details there and you can plug right in. But in the meantime, my name is Brian Hilliard saying so long, take care, and thank you for your time.